Let's start with Bo Naylor. We're talking McKenzie next, but Bo Naylor did make his debut this weekend for the Guardians. Is still yet to get a hit, but the bats did wake up.
Yeah, I think he's got about 14, 15 at bats going back to last year. Did get on base with a walk. He got caught. First of all, it was odd. It was not a great weekend for the Guardians. It's not been a great week after they'd been playing better. They lost 4-6 on the road trip out west. Lost 2 or 3 to San Diego. Salvaged the final game. Lost 2 or 3 to Arizona. Salvaged the final game on Sunday before yesterday off, and now they come home to play, as we all know, a terrible Oakland team who had their nice week where they had a winning streak, and now they're back to losing again. A couple of things that was odd from this weekend. They finally DFA Mike Zunino, which we've been talking about. I've been screaming about for a couple of weeks. But they didn't have Bo Naylor ready to be in the big leagues. Like, that is very confusing. I don't understand why you – obviously, it wasn't a big deal, but why would you ever play a man down? They had to know that unless something happened with Zunino just out of the blue – and they weren't going to do it, and they just, in the last minute, like, we got to get rid of him. That seems unusual, though. I don't understand why they didn't have Bo Naylor ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought they needed the extra roster spot for the spot start for Tukey, but I guess that wasn't necessarily the case.
No, they went without a 26th man for one day.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Bo Naylor, I said 100 times, he's not going to save the season. Should this have been done a month ago? Yeah, probably. But I don't know that Bo Naylor's the difference in winning and losing this division.
No.
But it is nice to get him up here at least, give him a chance, see what he's got. We saw Zunino. We saw there was nothing there.
Yeah.
They were as patient as they could with him. It hurts an organization like this to flush $6 million. That's a hit. But right now it's sort of baked into the cake, and there's nothing to do about it.
Yeah.
So let's see what he can do.
More shocking on June 20th. These are both shocking things that don't often happen in baseball, that are both happening today on June 20th, or at this point. That the American League Central leader, the Minnesota Twins, are under 500.
That's unbelievable.
Or that Luis Ariz of the Miami Marlins is hitting 400.
That's got to be
That's
most,
crazy.
That comes around once and forever.
And
Both those things are, I mean, I don't know. When's the last time a first-place team was under 500 this late in the season?
He's had like 4 or 5 hit games or something like that in 1 month.
I don't know if it's 1 month, but
though I heard a stat that said that he basically, if he does it again, he'll have the record for most 5-hit games.
He'd be tied with like 3 other guys. Yeah. Like, I think it's like Ichiro and Ted Williams or whatever.
I think what's most incredible about what Ariz is doing is the fact that he just changed leagues. These are all new pitchers.
Yeah.
And so many times we talk about it when a guy changes leagues, there's an adjustment period. And, you know, that first year, a lot of times their numbers dip a little bit because they got to figure out all new pitching.
Right.
He has not missed it.
I'm rooting for him. I mean, the last batter to hit over 380 was Larry Walker, I think, in 99 or 2000, 2001. Then Gwynn was the last guy to hit over 390. Tony Gwynn, I think, finished 3 hits shy of hitting 400, maybe 4 hits, something like that, maybe even less than that. But anyway, it's very rare. But in terms of, I mean, the American League Central, I was trying to find a stat. I couldn't find it through Google. Maybe I didn't put the right things in there. Of a team at the All-Star break being in first place under 500. Not that we're at the All-Star break yet, but we're not that far away.
Yeah.
I bet it hasn't happened often. Now, it's different now because the divisions are smaller than they used to be. You know, so it would have had to have happened in the last, like, 20 30 years. But I don't remember. Even this late in the season, I don't remember the first place team being under 500.
Yeah, we've got research people. I could get.
Yeah, I'd love to know because I can't. I would guess it's never happened before. Maybe. You know, this late. This division's hideous. But I look at the Guardians, guys, and you look at the next couple of weeks before we get back to Bo Naylor, their schedule is very favorable.
Oakland, Milwaukee, then they're out on the road. The Cubs, right?
Yeah. I mean, the Cubs are playing,
Kansas City? I thought it was Chicago.
Maybe I got that wrong. I think they have 19 games left before the break. I think it's 19.
Wow.
And
that kind of crept up.
And 10 of the 19 are against Kansas City and Oakland. They have 2 series with Kansas City, 1 with Oakland. Milwaukee, who's okay. Yeah. The Cubs, who are
Yeah.
And then the Braves, who are good.
Yeah.
But that's it. You're playing 2. You know, the Brewers and the Cubs are the same level as the Guardians. The Royals and the A's are the 2 worst teams in baseball. You're playing them 10 of the next 19 games. They need the Guardians, who are, I think, 4 under or 5 under? I can't remember now.
They're 5 under, 33 and 38.
So in these last 19 games, to be over 500. You'd have to go if they go 13-6, they'd be over.
They need to have this.
Well, They need to go 13-6, and that's not too much to ask with who they're playing.
That should be gravy. That should be gravy. If you playing the A's or you playing the Royals,
they got to win 8 of those 10 games.
You gotta beat up on those teams because I look at it like this. This is going to tell me whether or not they're actually going to be. I still think they're pretenders a little bit. But this has showed me whether or not they're really, really pretenders. Because if you can't stretch games together against these bad teams, that just shows me that you are way below the other top teams, especially in the East. So for me, you got to take 8 out of 10, especially with those two guys, and that's what baseball is about. You may not be up to the upper echelon, and you may not be able to compete head to head in a lot of those games. But the series that you playing lesser opponents, you gotta beat them, and then you can at least buffer some of that.
Jason, I look at the American League as a whole, and I don't see one team that can't be beat. And as much as I think the Guardians right now are well below Texas and Houston and Boston and Baltimore and most of the American League. Like, the best teams in the American League right now have been Texas, Tampa, and Baltimore.
Yeah.
And none of those rosters look like amazing rosters. I mean, they're all playing well. I give them their credit. But Tampa Bay's lost half their pitching staff. They're doing it with mirrors to some degree.
They'll find more.
There's
witchcraft going on.
It's not like any of those teams are some unbeatable team. Like the Astros last year in the playoffs felt like an unbeatable team.
Yeah.
And they turned out to be unbeatable. There's not a team like that this year. And as unlikely as it seems, if the Guardians do improve their roster and play up to their capabilities, I don't think it's impossible for them to make a run in the playoffs, as much as I don't think they're very good right now. Because I don't think the top – would I pick them to win a series against Tampa?
No.
No, I wouldn't. But I don't think it's impossible if they improve the roster to beat those teams.
What is their capabilities? Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't see them as a really high-ceiling team.
Guardians?
Yeah. I mean, listen.
When I said play up to their capabilities? I mean, do I think they have a high ceiling? No, but it's higher than they've played at.
They would have to say the Orioles or the Red Sox or the Rays, they would have to have a bad series. And the Guardians would have to play their
Sure, but that happens. I mean, that happens, right? Like,
it happens all the time. Tampa feels like they're in a class above everybody else, as far as I'm concerned. And it's not a lot of household names, certainly. But just the way that entire organization is structured, they get the absolute most out of it. They're almost like the Miami Heat of baseball, it feels like.
It's a good comparison.
And they just...
It's like, how are they doing this? You look at the roster, you're not that impressed?
They squeeze everything that they can get out of these guys. And they lose a guy, and you think, okay, that's it. And then 2 more come up. And I just, to me, that's the class of the. Now, that doesn't mean they're not unbeatable. But I certainly would think the Guardians would have a hard time going head-to-head with them.
The Triston McKenzie issue, if he's out for the year. Hoynesy apparently said, what did Hoynesy say exactly? I don't want to misquote. Mike, do you have exactly what he said in that article?
Let me find it, but I saw a tweet this weekend that McKenzie, if anyone didn't see, got sent back to the IL with elbow soreness.
Which is never good.
Which is never good, and a lot of times that leads to Tommy John surgery. And I'll find the exact tweet, but as I was scrolling through Twitter, Paul Hoynes, he's with Cleveland.com.
He's going to be out a while regardless. I mean, this is not a 10-day thing.
You wonder if it changes their plan in terms of trade.
I don't think it can. I'm actually going to write about that, I think, this week.
Right. But let's face it. If they don't have Bieber or McKenzie the rest of the year, they can't win anything.
Well, they don't got McKenzie, he can't win. I think they may shut him down even if he don't have surgery.
I guess it depends what the injury is. I mean, he's going to be out for a while, but it doesn't look promising right now.
But this is an organization, they try to win every year. They compete every year. They try to win every year. But they are so dependent on the lifeblood of the farm system and keeping things going. I don't think they can risk not trading Bieber, especially if he is the number one piece on the market right now, which all indications are they are, although I have to think the White Sox are going to pull the flag at some point and make Giolito available. But still, that's only 2.
The reality is that Marcus Stroman of the Cubs has pitched better than both those guys.
Are they going to make him available?
They should.
Are they going to?
I don't know.
So all the indications right now are that Bieber is going to be probably the best pitcher on the market. If that's the case, I think you have to sell because there are enough red flags around Shane, and we've talked about the velocity before, and there's no room for error with him, and he's not the same pitcher that he was. Other teams know that, so that drops his value. What increases his value is the fact that he's still the best available. And
Yeah,
there's
the
a lot
scarcity
of
of
people that
starting
think he is.
pitching.
Yeah.
A lot. You look at these contending teams, like maybe not Tampa because they don't make that kind of trade, but you look at Baltimore, like they could use a Shane Bieber. You look at Texas, they could use a Shane Bieber.
Yeah.
I mean,
Of course, you want to try and get him to the National League.
okay.
Ideally.
I mean, could the Dodgers trade for him? Sure.
Oh, sure.
The Dodgers, they've had a shaky pitching staff with a lot of injuries this year.
Do you guys think
Arizona. I mean, Arizona's a surprise, really
Yeah.
good team.
Yeah.
Could Cincinnati? Maybe get crazy here. Cincinnati's like a game out of first right now.
do the Guardians have the wherewithal? Like, say for instance, like you said something, and you just sparked my imagination. He says, they try to compete every year. Do they have the wherewithal, do you think, to say, look, man, got off to a slow start. McKenzie's hurt. That's a huge part of what we're trying to do. The bats got it. Zanino, then $6 million went down the drain. Maybe this ain't our year this year.
Well, I mean,
maybe this ain't us.
that's probably true. But the problem is, I mean, if you look at it as a problem, the fact that division is so
exactly
bad makes it complicated.
That's exactly
Right.
If they were in any other division, we'd just be talking about who they're trading and what they can get.
Yes.
But either way, to me, when they trade Bieber, because I agree with you, I think even with McKenzie's injury, they're probably going to trade Bieber. And by the way, they could still win this crappy division without McKenzie and Bieber.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad this division is.
We've yet to see Gavin Williams.
Right, which he'll be up at some point this
Yes.
year. Right? For the most part, Bibby's pitched real well. Allen's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Savali's been decent since coming off the injured list. The bullpen overall has been better lately. The reality is, though, they still got to trade Bieber for proven players. At least guys who are ready to play in the majors. I mean, this laundry list of all these prospects. You talk about it being their lifeblood, and that's true, but it's too much at this point.
Well,
like,
and there's a way to do both.
Yeah.
Like the Bauer deal, they did both. They got
and Clevenger also.
Clevenger felt like more prospect. Oh, I guess they got Naylor. Naylor came up.
Right.
But in the Bauer deal, they got Franmil and they got Puig. So they got two bats to plug into the lineup immediately. And I feel like, I don't remember now off the top of my head. I feel like they got a prospect too in the Bauer deal.
I can't remember now the exact
It was
deal.
Cincinnati, San Diego, and Cleveland. Wow. I don't remember all the particulars.
Yeah.
But there's a way to do both, where you can get help for now and something for later.
Right.
And I just think if you lose that extra year of postseason control and you wait till next year to trade Shane, you've cut his value in half, if not more.
They're going to trade him. I agree with you. You got to trade him now. And
by the way, McNuggets, I'm using this same rationale with Donovan Mitchell. I love what you just said, Jason. Stay tuned.
All right. I disagree with you on the Donovan thing, I think, but I want to hear you out.
All right.
I think it's different.
We'll get there.
in terms of Bo Naylor, I'm glad he's up. I agree with you that one guy alone, even if he plays great, but it was a spot in the lineup that was a 0, and now you're hoping it's not.
Now it's a half.
Until proven otherwise, right? There's a high ceiling now at that position.
At least there's hope.
There's hope at that position. They still need other bats. I've been through the Miles Straw thing a million times.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a major league hitter. I've said it time and time again. I gotta give credit to Naylor. I've never been a big Naylor guy. He's playing great.
Yeah.
He's holding down.
And listen, I still wouldn't use him against most lefties, but overall, he's by far their second best player in the lineup.
Yeah.
And he's had a tremendous season. He's been very clutch, a lot of big hits.
He's never been a guy, like when I did the piece before the season on guys
Yeah.
I would extend right now, I didn't include him. He's never been like a long-term contract guy to me.
Yeah.
Maybe he's playing himself into that conversation.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they do another one. I mean, what's his
know if he's got another year before.
what's his value? Like, what is his value? He's not a huge power hitter. He's limited with his inability to hit lefties. He's not good defensively.
Yeah.
But against righties, he's a very good hitter.
He's a steady, everyday player.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's a flawed everyday
Or a strong
player.
side platoon guy, I guess.
Yeah,
you could
I
say.
don't look at him as an everyday player, but playing the majority of
Is
the
a
time.
DH an everyday player?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's a guy you want. But I'm never, like, even if I'm going to play him against lefties, I'm only playing him against shitty lefties. I'm not starting him against any quality lefties at all because he's not going to hit those guys. But against righties, his numbers against righties are high quality.
Terrific.
They're borderline all-star against righties. So
If he can get he got 8 home runs now. If he gets 25, 26,
yeah.
Maybe I'm stealing a topic you can use later, but who's their All-Star representative?
Zach.
I said Clase. Zach said you could make a case for Naylor. Or
Ramirez.
Jose.
I mean, why would
I think Clase is going to be the only one that they get. I mean, I don't know third base numbers off the top of my head across the league.
Well, yeah, it depends. I'm not thinking about the other guys.
Clase
We had
is the only
built
one that
graphics for that last week. We had to scrap it because something else Guardians happened. It was you wanted to rant about calling Bo Naylor up, and then it worked out. Remember, we had that actually as a topic last week.
Yeah.
We'll revisit that later this week, but there's a case to be made for a couple guys to potentially be all-stars.
I think they're only getting one.
They certainly will not get multiple.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have any clear, none of their. I know Clase leads the league in saves, but he hasn't been great.
Comparatively speaking to what he was last year, he has not been the same.
Right.
But if you just look at his numbers, he's an all-star.
Comparatively, he's probably the top choice, and then Ramirez and Naylor.
There's no way they're getting three.
They're not getting
I don't
more
think
than
they're
one
getting
guy.
two. I think
I'd be very surprised.
Yeah.
Question for you guys real quick on Bo Naylor, though. What is a fair expectation for Guardians fans, for us, for anyone who's been clamoring for Bo to be called up, to have for Bo Naylor now for the rest of the season?
A reasonable, not crazy. I'd like to see him hit. I think reasonable, I'll say for the rest of the year, it's about half the season. Okay? I think we're a little more than half. We got a little less than half of the season is gone. I would say hit 250.
That's right. I was 240 to 250
with 10 homers and 30-something ribbies.
I was 240.
He did that the rest of the way.
I think he's got some speed. He can steal a couple bags. He's not going to lead the league. He's not going to have 30 steals.
No.
But he can take the extra base when it's presented to him in the right situation.
Yeah.
I would say maybe 8 home runs. 240, 8 home runs.
225, 12 home runs, 12 to 15.
If Bo Naylor hit 12 to 15 home runs in 90 games,
I mean, you got to think about it.
I mean, they have one player on pace for 20 homers.
Yeah.
One. Even Naylor's not on pace for 20 homers.
I wouldn't care if he
They
struck out
have two
either.
players on pace, I think, for 70 ribbies, which is just hideous. I don't know if I texted this to you guys, but I don't know if you saw this. Through the Guardians have played, 71 games, I think? 72? Whatever amount of games they played to this point. Mm-hmm. In 2001, through the same amount of games, Barry Bonds had 8 less homers than the Guardians roster this year.
He was also taking horse testicles.
Well, do we know that Josh Naylor's not taking horse testicles?
I can look at him and tell you he's not taking horse
testicles. All right,
testicles.
maybe he's taking cow testicles.
Hey, bro, listen.
Or pig testicles.
I'm going to tell you what, man. I still don't understand it. That's the greatest feat I've ever seen in my life. Watching a dude not only hit that many home runs, but get intentionally walked. And then
the base is loaded.
Bases loaded.
That's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Hey,
you
listen,
know what
we can
that
talk
means?
about steroids all we want. We know it factored in, but nobody else. A lot of other guys were taking steroids and weren't hitting that many home runs.
Still got to hit the ball.
Right? What did he finish? What did he finish with that year?
73, right?
73?
73 or 74.
And Bull, there are times when, as a hitter, you just miss a pitch. You can hit it hard, you just missed it.
He never.
This dude never missed. He get walked 3 times. He's standing up there taking his 12 balls.
Will the Guardians hit more home runs than Bonds did in 2001? I'm going to say yes.
Yes. 73?
Yeah.
Yes. It might come down to September.
I think they're about 10 home runs behind the Nationals for 29th place. Something like that. Are they 10? Can you look at that, Mike?
What do you need?
The home run team totals. How far are they behind the Nationals for 29th place?
Oh, it's not good. If you give me
I
2
think
seconds,
like 10
I'll have
back
that up
of
for you here.
Washington.
That's the problem, Bull. Their room in the playoffs, their room for margin is too slim.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just-
ultimately the smart move. I hate to give up on a season when you have a chance to win the division, and I still think the Guardians are going to win the division because I don't think anybody else is any good, and I think Francona's a savvy enough manager if they can make some improvement, but they're not going to make any short-term moves.
I got your numbers. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Guardians, through 71 games, according to ESPN.com Major League Baseball statistics, are dead last in home runs with 46.
That's
the
insane.
Washington Nationals, in 71 games, are second to last, 29th, with 54 home runs.
Okay, so they got
8
more home runs
than the Nationals.
They got 8
or than
behind the
Guardians.
second worst team in the league. I mean, that's crazy.
And they are 18 behind the third.
How many's Tampa hit?
Braves
Tampa
have the most
has... Yeah,
Atlanta
Atlanta
passed
has
them?
9 more than Tampa. Atlanta, in 72 games, has 126.
now. So how about this?
Jesus.
So Jose Ramirez leads the Guardians in home runs, right? You know where he'd rank on the Braves?
Probably like 7th.
Tied for 7th.
Yeah, there you go.
He'd be tied for 7th in home runs on the Braves.
You just listen. I understand. We love pitching and like it's good. No, it's got overboard. I know pitching wins games, but damn it, you can't win no games doing that, man. That's
you can't be this bad
like,
power
that's
wise.
Horrible.
And that's why in the Bieber trade they have to get somebody that can hit home runs.
Got to like.
Now will they do it? I don't know. Somebody texted in one of our text chains. Trade with the Cardinals yesterday.
That was Tyvis.
Yeah,
that was Tyvis. What was that trade again? I got
It was Shane Bieber for Tyler O'Neill, a prospect and a reliever. I think I never heard of. It was. I have it right here.
It was Libertor.
Matthew
Libertor,
Tyler O'Neill, and Moises Gomez, St. Louis's number 12 prospect.
Okay. On paper, I've always been a big Tyler O'Neill guy. Now he's never completely lived up to his potential. However, he's a good defensive player, solid hitter, big-time power, and he can run. Matthew Libertor is a good pitching prospect who's already in the big leagues and doing, I think, a decent job. I don't know about the other kid. I'm not familiar with him, but I said yesterday in the text chain that I would do it, except Tyler O'Neill's not healthy right now. But if I'm playing for the future, the Cardinals make sense. Although I don't think the Cardinals would do it. They're so bad.
That's what I said. The Cardinals are so far back. Why would they? Why would they do that?
Now they're in a situation not quite as bad as the AL Central. The NL Central's not great, but it's not as bad as the AL Central.
Yeah, I don't think the Guardians do anything until the deadline. Like you want to let this build. You want to let teams bid against each other and let the value grow there. So I don't think anything is imminent with Shane, but I don't think he's here beyond July 31st.
Yeah, I mean, you got to hit it. It's hard. You have to find a team that really needs a pitcher, but that has.
And there are plenty.
Yes, but that has some major league hitting talent.
Right. Or you could also, again, I keep going back to the Bowery deal. It became a 3-team deal.
Yeah.
It would not at all shock me if the Bieber trade evolves into something that looks like that, where it's 3 teams and you get multiple pieces back. You get guys to help you now and something for later.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that would make some sense. And when I say a proven veteran, I don't want a guy who, for this year's team, you're not trading for a Yasiel Puig who's on the last year of his contract.
Right.
But a guy who, even if the guy's only got 3 years left,
and that's a huge thing with these guys, obviously, is control. But, I just wonder, and we don't have any clear answers on this. Like, I don't know the answers to this. But what's the timeline here in terms of Dolan's and Blitzer's, David Blitzer? And we've seen $200 million contracts given out in consecutive off seasons. Never thought I'd see that.
Yes. But yet the overall payroll is not going up.
But I think like we're seeing future money.
Yeah.
That I think is not going to be the Dolan's problem. You know what I mean?
So it's an indicator that you think the payroll whenever Blitzer takes over will go up.
It's an indicator that they're spending money that they don't have to worry about and maybe I'm totally wrong on that. Maybe 7 years from now.
I hope you're right.
Maybe 7 years from now it still looks exactly as it does today.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case. I don't have the exact timeline. But just look at the contracts and the indications. I think that they're spending future money that the Dolans aren't going to have to pay.
Right. That Blitzer obviously gave an okay to.
Yeah, and so I just wonder how that impacts all of this. But again, they target control years. How long do we control these guys?
Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, no. Did you have one last point? I was ready to read in that I was finally ready to get. You caught me off guard for maybe the first time in a year and 3 months. I've been completely caught off guard. I looked at my ad sheet, and all these are old and not still current ads, and I was like, crap. I don't know.
By the way, Mikey McNuggets is coming down to the Little League game tonight. No help from those 2 slackers, Earl and Anthony, with you tonight. You're doing it all by yourself. And we're gonna be videotaping. Hopefully, we get a big win tonight.
The camera works. So that's a big upgrade over last year's adventure. We have a wireless mic.
We're in a different dugout than last year. We're in the opposite dugout.
That's fine.